Welcome to Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang, your intel on the Philippine markets and the economy. In the headlines, business leaders joined thousands protesting against massive corruption stemming from government flood control projects. They demand accountability. The Philippines bracing for the impact of super typhoon Nando. Signal number 5 is up in the Babuyan Islands, while work in classes canceled in at least 30 areas in Luzon. And lands in the hands of the few, or innovation attracting foreign capital, creating local jobs. We delved into the opportunities and challenges of the recently amended Investors Lease Act. Joey Bondoc, the Colliers Philippines, joins us live. Tens of thousands of Filipinos poured into the streets of Metro Manila and beyond, denouncing corruption and demanding accountability from the country's leaders. Here's the report.
Thousands of protesters gathered at Luneta in Manila to denounce corruption in the country's flood control projects. Civil society groups, youth organizations, church leaders, and ordinary citizens rallied under one clear message: stop corruption and hold officials accountable.
Pero yun nga, this is where your taxes go, sa lubak. Siguro systemic yung problem so baka matagal-tagal na laban yun ngayon.
Meanwhile, tensions erupted at Ayala Bridge as demonstrators clashed with police. Stones, bottles, and other objects were thrown and a tire was set ablaze from a container van blocking the bridge entrance. Authorities apprehended at least 17 people, including some minors. After the morning rally, demonstrators marched from the EDSA Shrine to the People Power Monument. Despite heavy traffic and intermittent rain, they pressed on, filling the streets with chants, cheers, and the honking of passing vehicles.
Yes, definitely worth it. I think gusto namin ipakita din no, na obviously mas marami tayong kababayan na hihirapan ngayon, mas maraming mahirap, especially yung anak namin PWD siya, no? So mas lalo na yung mga like minority groups like that. So we just want to make a stand, no, na maawa naman tayo sa mga kababayan natin.
Para sa mga anak ko yan at saka mga bagong henerasyon. At hanggang ngayon, umpisa noong 1986, sumali rin ako sa ganito. Pero hanggang ngayon, wala pa rin pagbabago at ang korupsyon ay naroon pa rin. Kaya palagay ko, may pagbabago kung ang kabuuan ng mga tao ay ang pag-iisip at magkaroon ng pagkakaisa para masupi lang korupsyon at sa tingin ko ay nagiging kultura na to o bahagi ng ating pamayanan.
In Cebu, protesters carried makeshift bars, wore orange outfits, and had their hands tied, displaying the names of those involved in the flood control project's controversy.
Ang Christmas wish ko nakahimlay sila sa mga prisuhan. Nandoon sila para magmuni-muni sa mga kasalanan nila, pagbayaran nila ang lahat ng mga kasalanan nila sa taong bayan.
Organizers said they will continue their campaign until all those responsible are held accountable. In Davao, progressive groups, together with members of the Catholic Church and other sectors, held an anti-corruption rally at the Freedom Park. The event featured a cultural presentation reflecting on the era of martial law.
Panawagan din ng mga progressive organizations ay ang pagsingil no kay Marcos at ang pagpapanagot din sa mga Duterte dahil pareho sila no at ang mga kasapakat nila na mga corrupt no at involved sa katiwalian ng ating bansa.
At the same time, Duterte supporters gathered at Rizal Park along San Pedro Street under the theme Pray for the Philippines, and prayed for the return of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is currently detained in The Hague. For News 5, I'm Marian Enriquez. We are One News.
Tensions flared in Mindiola, Manila, where some protesters clashed with police officers. Water cannons were fired as protesters hurled rocks, bottles, wood, barricades, and even foul-smelling liquid mixed with paint at police. The clash dragged on for hours. That same night, a group vandalized and looted a hotel along Recto Avenue, breaking its glass windows and stealing the hotel's vault. A security guard was injured in the incident. Manila Mayor Isko Moreno confirmed that 21 people were arrested, including 7 minors.
They are welcome to Manila and express their complaints and rights, especially in our public plaza. But they don't have the right to destroy properties, private and public. Kala ko ba gusto nyo ng gobyernong matino? Ba't yung sinira yung property ng gobyerno?
Also in yesterday's trillion peso march along EDSA were officials and employees of the Philippine Stock Exchange and Philippine Dealing System Holdings Corp. Seen in these photos walking from the EDSA Shrine to People Power Monument are PSE President Ramon Monzon and Chief Operating Officer Roel Refran. The business community has been taking a public stand against corruption in public works. Just 2 weeks ago, 30 influential business groups sent out a statement condemning corruption inside the DPWH, LGUs, and COA. They told involved officials to, quote, moderate your greed. Renowned urban planner Felino June Palafox Jr. also joined the Trillion Peso March. Palafox said in a statement that this country has been breaking apart because of corruption. He added that the fight for corruption is a corporal work of mercy because the poor suffers the most in the end. Trade Secretary Cristina Roque has formed a fact-finding body to tighten regulations on licensing government contractors. Roque said DTI is working with the DPWH and ICI to improve the licensing process, overseen by the Philippine Contractors Accreditation Board. One of the reforms eyed is banning contractors from serving on the PCAB. Senators have questioned the provision in the contractor's license law, why only contractors are allowed to serve as PCAB directors. Senator Erwin Tulfo said this provision is self-serving and a clear conflict of interest. PCAB Executive Director Herbert Matienzo resigned on September 3 in the wake of the alleged registration for sale scheme, while board members Arthur Escalante and Ernie Bagao stepped down after being linked to government contractors. Engineer Sergi Retome currently serves as PCAB acting head. In other news, Super Typhoon Nando continues to rage as it approaches the Babuyan Islands. The storm may pass close to or make landfall on the group of islands between noon and early afternoon today before leaving Philippine territory tomorrow morning. Tropical cyclone wind signals are in effect across Luzon. Signal number 5 is up over northern Babuyan. Number 4 for the rest of the group of islands, southeast Batanes and northeast Cagayan. Signal number 3 for the rest of Batanes, northern and central Cagayan, Apayao, and Ilocos Norte. And number 2 for other parts of Luzon, including Benguet, Nueva Vizcaya, La Union, Isabela, Abra, Kalinga, Mountain Province, Ifugao, and Ilocos Sur. Additional areas are under signal number 1 as shown on your screen. Over in Apari, Cagayan, residents have been feeling Nando's impact since early this morning, with strong winds toppling trees and rains pounding the province. Locals have taken precautions, including securing buildings and property against the storm. Pagasa warned of possible storm surges and waves of up to 3 meters, with conditions expected to last throughout the day. Meantime, flights to and from Lawag have been canceled, including Philippine Airlines and Cebu Pacific. Malacanang has earlier suspended work in government offices and classes in all levels across 30 areas today, September 22. The suspension covers Metro Manila and nearby provinces, as well as northern, central, and southern areas, including Cagayan, Cavite, Ifugao, the Ilocos Region, Isabela, Kalinga, La Union, Laguna, and Mountain Province. It also applies to parts of Central Luzon and the Mimaropa region. You're watching Money Talks. We'll take a look at the markets when we return. Plus, Joey Bondoc of Colliers Philippines talks to us about the impacts of the newly amended Investors Lease Act. Welcome back to Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang, carrying on from our coverage in yesterday's protest rallies. Over the past hour, our mobile journalist Merimon Reyes, who covered the protests in Manila, spoke with Gretchen Ho on Morning Matters. Here's a portion of that conversation.
Actually, to compare yung peacefulness from Luneta, malayo yung difference niya. Everything took place parang starting sa Ayala Bridge. Meron dong container van or container truck. Doon nag-start na meron nagbabatuhan na raw ng bato. Bottles na may parang mabahong likido na may pintura. Binabato to sa mga pulis. And then after a few minutes, nakita namin na pinaliaban nila yung container truck and may motor din silang pinasindihan doon. Parang kasabay din yan, pumupunta rin yung mga protesters from Luneta Park, papunta na rin sana ng Menjola for the closure of the program. And ang nasabi rin sa atin dito ni Representative Teddy Casino, saglit lang daw talaga yon kasi they're planning to go to EDSA Shrine next. Or for the others naman, bahala na kung magde-disperse na sila. Yun nga lang, nung nandun na sila sa Menjola, nakita namin, may nagtatakbuhan na agad sila pabalik. Sabi namin, bakit? Teka lang, bakit po kayo nagbabalikan? Binubuambahan na po kasi ng tubig, yung mga nagpo-protesta, ganyan. So, karamihan sa kanila dismayado. Pero for the others, ang sinasabi, nagbabato na po yung iba ng bato, ng bote, ng babasagin sa
Kumbaga,
pulis.
hindi na sila pinapapunta sa may
Hindi na. Nagmeron ng order for dispersal. Technically, maayos daw talaga. Saglit lang sila sa Menjola, alis na sila. Ganun lang talaga. Hindi sila magtatagal doon. And then, nung numinipis na yung mga tao, nagulat din kami noon. May mga grupo naman ng mga kabataan, most of them wearing black t-shirts, nakamaskara yung iba. And doon na mas nag-escalate talaga.
Ito ba yung nagpasunog nung container van?
More likely, kasi yung iba sa kanila sumunod, papunta. Ang gusto kasi nila, base sa mga nakausap namin doon, gusto nilang ma-reach ang Malacanang. So, nag-start din sila doon sa Ayala Bridge kasi nakahalang yung container. And then, diretso sila, Menjola, makalagpas daw sana para ma-reach nila ang Malacanang. And yung nasabi sa atin, yung iba, nag-abang na sila along Menjola, along Recto Avenue.
Okay.
So, medyo nagkagulo-gulo na talaga. Nag-start na siya around 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon. Tuloy-tuloy na yun.
Pero itong mga protester na ito, hapon lang sila dumating? Wala sila nung umaga?
Yung mga nanggulo, dalawa ang narrative na nakuha natin. Yung ilan, kasama raw sila from the Luneta Rally, Baha sa Luneta. For the others, nag-abang na sila sa Ayala Bridge or sa Menjola. So, dalawa yung narrative na nakuha natin doon. Merong mga nag-aabang na rin daw talaga. And nung tinanong natin, saan kayo kasama? Sino po bang koalisyon ninyo? May partido ba tayo? Wala. Basta kami lang dito. Gusto lang namin talagang magpahayag daw ng mensahe nila.
Anong mensahe nila? Anong sinisigaw nila?
Actually, medyo obscene yung mga language na narinig natin most of the time. Yung calling out nila compared sa ibang mga rally, medyo obscene na yung language na ginagamit nila. Meron na silang mga ginagawa na gestures, which is bad.
But was it clear what they were fighting for?
They were naming political figures na gusto nilang makulong, gusto nilang masangkot ng Pangulo. Hati rin yan ng Pangulo ngayon, ng dating Pangulo, past administrations, mga senador na nasasangkot, mga kongresista, and DPWH officials.
Recent amendments to the Investors Lease Act has not been without a criticism. Farmers groups and other civil society organizations express worry that longer leases may mean putting land in the hands of the few. On September 3, President Marcos signed into law Republic Act number 12252, amending the Investors Lease Act. This extends the maximum period by which foreign investors may lease private land in the Philippines from the previous cap of 75 years to 99 years. Is Republic Act 12252 really tilting too far at the expense of local stakeholders in favor of foreign capital? With us now for more is Colliers Philippines Director of Research, Joey Bondong. Good to see you, Joey, and welcome back to the program.
Hi, Cathy. Morning.
All right, put for us into context for a moment Colliers Philippines' view of the ensuing riots that happened and the demonstrations in Recto, as we've heard earlier from Merimon, and how that is impacting perceptions on the stability and sustainability of investors wanting in or doing business here in the Philippines?
Well, of course, peace and order, safety and security, these are very important considerations for a businessman. Whether it's a property developer or a manufacturer, it's important that when you go to a country like the Philippines, there's stability and their sustainability of operations. So it's very important, of course, that the police has been able to contain all those riots, and we hope that these peaceful protests continue. It's a sign of a democratic country after all.
What kinds of conversations are you having right now with your clients, and what are you telling them when they express concerns?
Well, right now, clients are really some of them are on a wait and see. But I would like to believe that developers, for example, they continue to land bank. These are, of course, concerns for them. But we're not seeing any, drastic measure on the street. So it's a business as usual for a lot of developers, and even for foreign locators, for foreign manufacturers that are aggressively looking at the Philippines. I think, Cathy, what's very important, and for every businessman, there's sustainability, there's stability. We want to make sure that we, for example, the government honors contracts, there's sanctity of contract. They don't change the rules of the game mid-game, midway through the implementation of certain policies. For example, if the government, for example, promises tax breaks, those tax breaks should be granted to these foreign investors.
And now government is promising 99 years in the Investors Lease Act,
That's
which is
correct.
an amendment to the current
That's
or
right.
previous
Yes.
50 plus 25. Is that going to get them here and invest in the Philippines finally?
Definitely. It sends the right signal, the message that the Philippines is open for business. Because from previous 50 plus 25, of course, and then the 25 years is not really committed. But right now, it's on text, it's a law already, although the implementing rules have yet to be signed. But we believe that this is a step in the right direction. If you want to attract multi-million dollars of foreign direct investments, and for the investors to be able to recoup their investment, they should be able to operate here in the Philippines for the long haul. So this is definitely a very good measure, and given all those pro-business policies that the government has previously enacted, ease of payment of taxes, Foreign Investments Act, this is one measure that will complement those recently enacted law, and we believe that this will play a crucial role in helping the Philippine government attract more foreign direct investments and generate more jobs and livelihood in the countryside.
It is indeed one measure, but then it's not like we're the first.
That's correct.
First mover, Singapore, Hong Kong, the Maldives.
That's right.
99 years. I
That's
mean, they've
right.
been having that for the longest time. So what would make investors come here at a time that it's wait and see, as you say, because of the riots, the demonstrations, the investigations?
Yeah, at least it puts the Philippines at par with our neighbors. When you look at Malaysia, Singapore, for example, Indonesia, these are countries already implementing that 99-year lease term. Outside of Southeast Asia, you have Hong Kong. What's important, Cathy, is that if you look at the property sector right now, the industrial sector continues to thrive, it continues to grow. And we believe that if you want to attract all these major manufacturers, manufacturers of electric vehicles, batteries, semiconductors, they will be requiring these longer land lease. And we want to sustain that. Data centers, for example, these are capital intensive investments. And again, they will only invest in a country if you offer longer land leases. That's for the industrial sector. On the other side of the fence, you have, for example, the hospitality players, the hotel players. I heard that Four Seasons is now planning to enter the Philippines. Why? Because of these longer land lease that the Philippine government has promised. So if there are two segments that will benefit greatly from this longer land lease term, it's really the industrial as well as the hospitality segments.
But there is that narrative there of the negatives.
That's right.
You can't avoid the conversation of the farmers groups,
That's right.
the civil society organizations worrying that this is going to put land in the hands of the few.
Yeah.
What sort of assurance do we have that that's not going to happen and risk impacting rural communities in a bad way?
Well, what's important is that it's stipulated clearly in the law. It's an extended land lease. It's not ownership. We believe that this is a middle ground between what can be acquired, what can be purchased, and what can be leased in the Philippines. Again, after that 99-year lease term, it can be developed, that the property can be redeveloped into another use, which should benefit local producers, local players in the Philippines. But what's important, again, is that it's a 99-year extended lease term, so as to avoid crowding out the local investors and local players from actually acquiring and owning parcels of land in the Philippines.
So how much time do you think before we feel the impact of this amendment in the law, considering that our FDIs are already down in the first
That's
5
correct.
months, 27%
That's correct.
down because of Trump's tariffs and disruptions that have happened? All of the investors have gone to either Vietnam or Indonesia. Missed out on the Philippines.
In our opinion, it won't be immediate. Again, we have yet to see the implementing rules and regulations of this newly enacted law, which is a very good measure after all. We also need to look at what other factors need to be put in place so as to fully reap the benefits of these extended land lease. We believe that once this is fully implemented, we can have a well-functioning, a more comprehensive supply chain in the Philippines, which again will be beneficial for a lot of property developers. This should entice them to develop more industrial parks, and even for foreign manufacturers to locate within industrial parks developed by major developers, as well as look for a viable, a modern warehouse. So it's a win-win, we believe, for local property developers and even for foreign manufacturers. Again, it won't be immediate, but it will be for the long haul. And right now, the Philippines, from 2016 to 2024, we only attracted how much? $80 billion in foreign investments. We hope that once this is already fully implemented, we'll be at par with our neighbors. Right now, they're already at about, $100 billion in FDIs during that period. And don't get me started on Hong Kong, China, Korea, which are attracting 10 times bigger FDIs than what the Philippines attracts.
Well, silver linings, that's what we're
That's
looking
correct.
for over the long haul.
Of
Thank you
course.
so much,
Thank you,
Joey,
Cathy.
for the context on what's going on. Collier's Philippines Director of Research, Joey Bondoc. Well, the country's balance of payment surplus has widened in August, reflecting gains from the central bank's overseas investments. Preliminary data from the Bangko Sentral showed a BOP surplus of $359 million in August, up from $88 million in the same month of last year. The reverse of the $167 million deficit was recorded in July. The BSP attributed the surplus to net income from its foreign investments. However, for the January to August period, the country's BOP position swung to nearly a $5.4 billion deficit, a reversal from last year's $1.6 billion surplus. And U.S. markets posted fresh highs last Friday following President Trump's announcement. The U.S. reached a TikTok deal with China. The Nasdaq advanced by 0.7%. S&P 500 climbed by nearly 0.5%, and the Dow rose by 0.33%. The benchmark 10-year Treasury yields ticked up to 4.138%. Gold prices jumped to $3,671 per troy ounce. U.S. futures point to declines when the markets open later tonight Manila time. The Dow, the S&P, and the Nasdaq are all down by 0.8% each. Asian markets all in the green today, Monday, with Australia's ASX 200 up by about 0.5%. South Korea's Kospi rising by over 0.6%. Japan's Nikkei 225 gaining by a little over 1%. And taking a look at our own markets at the start of this trading week, the PSEI opens this Monday slightly lower by about 0.1% at 6,256. The stock market capped the previous week in the green, rising by 0.5% to extend its winning streak for the fourth straight session. Investors seek to maintain momentum after the Fed signaled the possibility of 2 more rate cuts this year, which could give more room for the Bangko Sentral to ease rates, according to Unicapital Securities. As for the Philippine peso, it opens today flat, 57.15 to the dollar. The peso closed Friday a tad weaker at 57.15 against the greenback. And 10-year government bond yields ticked up to 5.964% from the previous close of 5.945%. In corporate news, Meralco Power Gen Corp plans to enter Malaysia to tap into growing electricity demand from data centers. MGen President and CEO Emmanuel Rubio said the company is looking to develop new or expand existing power plants with a capacity of up to 1,500 megawatts by 2028. Malaysia has become a data center hub in Southeast Asia, benefiting from its proximity to Singapore and rising demand for cloud and AI services. Rubio also said that MGen is seeking a local partner to support its expansion into Malaysia. Meralco and Signal, the owner of this channel, are both part of the MVP group. And before we go, Filipino pole vault star EJ Obiena delighted fans by winning the Atletang Ayala World Pole Vault Challenge at the Ayala Triangle. Obiena cleared 5.8 meters on his second attempt to bag the gold via countback against France's representative, who needed 3 tries at the same height. Poland's bet took bronze with 5.6 meters. Currently ranked 7th in the world, the 2-time Olympian hopes the event will inspire more Filipinos to embrace pole vaulting. Congratulations, EJ. That is it for Money Talks. I'm Cathy Yang. Catch us again tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. here on One News. Have a great day ahead.